Jason Kleckner. How the heck are you, man?
Dude, I have had the longest weekend and so far the longest week ever.
Dude, you say that every week. All we get is complaints out of you.
Well, for those of you that are chiming in, we're running late tonight because of me. I literally just walked in the door from work.
We appreciate it, dude. Thank you.
But no, I drove all the way to my dad's place in Mexico Saturday to install granite and then drove all the way back Sunday.
Yikes. How long of a drive is that? How many hours?
It's 290 miles, so given the fact that once I cross the border and there's certain areas that I can drive excessively kind of fast, I can do it in like 4.5 hours.
That's not that bad.
Although I did get stuck at the border coming back Sunday for almost 2 hours.
Oh no, what happened?
It's just the line. I mean, it's their Independence weekend, so they had parades and stuff. And what are you doing over there?
My dog, my old girl is like digging a hole through my floor trying to get a place to nap. She gets a little crazy now. So I'm glad you got back, man. People are already making comments following our live broadcast on YouTube, which we appreciate. Joshua William, hello guys. Joshua asked for a P365 update. The update is it's still going strong. I'm still it's my daily carry. I love it. Um, in the back of my mind, I'm still always a little concerned about it, which is a bummer, but I'm not that concerned not to carry it. It's been absolutely great for me. she, she's moving to new spots and digging through the floor. She's old enough that she can't even hear, so hollering at her wouldn't do much help. Anyway, so 365 is still going good. Magtek Ammo. Let's talk about our sponsors for a second. Magtek Ammo, our official sponsor. The guys are doing great. We gave a very honest review of some of the Magtek Ammo last week, so thank you, Jason, for that on your experiences with it. You know, the good and the bad of it. We had a contest going at ryankleckner.com/contest. Once again, it's ryankleckner.com/contest. There'll be another one live for this podcast. So get on there and enter to win some free ammo or whatever else we decide to give away. We have a winner to pick for last week's contest. Apparently, the contest just ended like an hour ago. And the winner of a 50 round box of the 77 grain match ammo that I love so much for the 223 is Eric Putz. So, Eric, congratulations. Contact Jackie and she will get you set up and get the ammo sent out to you. So, we really appreciate that. We appreciate Magtek being such good friends and good sponsors of the podcast. And of course, the other sponsors are my project, what's going on, which is Rocket FFL, which continues to be must be a political hot button right now because people are flocking to Rocket FFL to get their FFL and to figure out what they can do to not only start stocking up on guns now, but get ready for the election season or the holiday season or maybe a big push. You know, guns are still really, really cheap right now, especially at distributors. And I think maybe people just might be worried about the gun laws that are coming and want to get their FFL now. We're currently at about a 2 month wait, which is normal for getting your FFL. But the longer you wait, the worse it can get because more and more people are doing it. So if you've been thinking about it, jump on there and check it out. I'd appreciate it. And of course, Mayday Safety. I can't even count how many leads and how many schools we're in now and how many businesses we're working with because people heard about it on the podcast. So thanks, guys. We really appreciate that. Keep spreading the word. We're hoping to save lives here. I actually went through a demo of Mayday recently, and I stopped the demo as I'm showing on the dashboard and all the cool features and where you can see where people turn green or red or they check in safe or not and the notifications and all the really cool features. I stopped it right when I said, watch this. Someone in the organization presses the Mayday button and then all the phones on the desk, the siren goes off. And I went, okay, stop demo right now. Give it another 5 seconds. The school's locked down. There's no way you can communicate across multiple buildings, multiple everything that fast to lock everyone down. And that's going to save lives. And the rest of these features are really cool, and I'd love to get into them next, but I want to make an important point, is even if we stopped right here, we're still going to maybe save some kids' lives. So I appreciate you guys spreading the word.
Oh, which is fantastic and awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. Kyle's been a great part of that. Matter of fact, the thing I didn't talk about in the last podcast was a book signing that Kyle Lamb and I did in downtown Franklin. That was kind of neat.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle's turned into a great friend. Met him at an industry event, and we've done I've done his podcast. I need to get him on this one for us, and just a really, really good dude. And he's a partner with Mayday, and it's been great. So yeah, we both had our books for sale, and we're down at a very historic building in downtown Franklin. It was actually where Andrew Jackson paid his troops, like not out of that building, out of that room that we were sitting in. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
and there's history for Daniel Boone, I think, before that in that room. Just a really cool building. A bunch of old books around there, and a bunch of old dudes telling stories, and people
Hmm.
coming by and getting autographs and buying books. It was really cool. So if you made it out there, thank you for doing it.
So I read an interesting thing that popped up on my phone. I didn't get to finish it all the way, but it was had to do with not guns necessarily, but knives,
Okay.
and knives being protected by the Second Amendment, and people that have been trying to pass laws to get knives that I guess were illegal, unillegal, and so interesting question I had for you: are knives protected under the Second Amendment?
I never thought about it. I don't know.
Okay, not
It's
to
a
throw
great
you on the spot
question.
or nothing.
No, I'm glad you put me on the spot. Matter of fact, we got a comment last week or the week before that said that they appreciated that we were both willing to say we didn't know when we don't know. So I have no problem admitting that. Makes me want to go learn and look it up. So let's argue why it does and doesn't. So I like to take the opposing argument first to try and strengthen my own argument. So, Jason, let's figure out why knives would not be included.
Okay, well, it doesn't. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. It doesn't necessarily specify guns, does it?
Now it
It's
says
to bear
arms.
arms.
Yeah,
So I mean, let's define arms. Let's start there.
exactly. That's the problem. How do you define arms? Or maybe the intent of the Second Amendment. See, I'm known for saying that the Bill of Rights, I mean, it's great that we have it, but maybe it's not. I mean, part of the problem and part of the argument against the Bill of Rights was not some of our founding fathers thinking we didn't have those rights. It was our founding fathers saying, by making a specific list of rights, you now are going to essentially allow everything else that's not listed to be banned. And the example I give is a red baseball cap. Nowhere in the Bill of Rights does it say that you have the right to wear a red baseball cap or that the government should not infringe upon that right. However, none of us wonder if it's illegal to wear a red baseball cap.
Right.
So by not mentioning it, you could argue that it's just so assumed it's okay that there's no risk of it being banned. So no, the Second Amendment doesn't apply to knives, but it's just so assumed that knives have never been, banned or restricted that we didn't need protection from it. That's one argument. The other is I have to know what arms meant at the time, but then again, I don't know. If the idea of the Second Amendment now is to allow us to overthrow a tyrannical government and it allows us to have weapons and prevents the government from banning such weapons, okay, knives are maybe included. But then, according to old case law, which doesn't necessarily apply anymore, we say that only these weapons or firearms that are suitable in a militia or as defense against tyrannical government would be protected. Maybe a knife isn't suitable. I don't know. Is a bayonet a knife? A bayonet could be part of a rifle.
Right.
A bayonet would clearly be arms.
It was interesting. I mean, I found it
Hmm.
pretty fascinating when the whole thing came up. I'm like, that's interesting because then they got into the stats where, of course, semi-automatic rifles were at the least, handguns were way above them for crimes, and then knives, it seemed like almost took the lead, but nobody barks about knives. Nobody throws
That's
a fit
really
about knives.
interesting. Yeah.
So then it gets into, you got switchblades, stilettos, and some of those have been outlawed in certain states. And then you have knives that actually shoot blades. And, but the controversy is so focused on either handguns or semi-automatic rifles that there's a gentleman who's been going around and getting laws overturned because nobody seems to care about them. uh, it was interesting, and I can't wait to finish reading it. But I was skimming through it the other day, and I thought I am going to bring this up because I've never
That's a
given it a
really good
thought.
question. I saw a bumper sticker in like 2000 in Savannah, Georgia that said, "If you take our guns away, can we have our swords back?" Um, So swords, I would clearly say would have been arms.
right?
Hmm.
I don't know. I just
Depending on the history of that you read of this, because the story is not clear, but the whole history of the salute was either for the knight to raise his mask to show who he was. That's what that was does. Or the history that I believe is to show that you're unarmed. Is to you walk up to somebody and you're like, hey, don't have anything in my hands. Well, the thing you had in your hand at the time would have been a knife. And if you're not armed, maybe that's arms. Maybe that's a threat. I don't know, man.
I don't know. I just found it interesting that, and they were talking about all the stats with it, and I'm like, that's interesting. It's fascinating, and I like I said, I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus. I just
Oh, I
wanted to
love
bring
it.
it up.
I don't know. So, guys, let's all research this a little bit and discuss it next week. Let's see what they say. So,
Yeah,
holy smokes on the comments. We have like 40 people commenting right now, which is awesome. Hey, everybody. Um, Tony sent his FFL application in past Saturday. Awesome, dude. I'm excited for you. William says he shot a 6.5 out to 1,100 yards last weekend. It was a big thank you to us and the book. That's awesome, man. We're excited. People catching the live podcast are all excited. That's awesome. Some of these are going to be too hard to answer here. Bobby asked about check out the primary arms scope for the price. I've seen them for the price. That's cool. It's a $279 scope. Just they're not going to get you the results that you want if you want to be consistent shooting long range. If you need to put a scope on a rifle, do it. If you want to have consistency and repeatability for long range shooting, scope's not going to get it for you. 922R applicability. Yeah, do not make that imported pistol into a rifle. Making it into a rifle, you need the right amount of U.S. parts. Won't do more on that one because you haven't hired me as your lawyer yet. Lots of knife comments. That's awesome. So, all right. Well, everyone, thank you so much. I skipped over most of the knife comments and everyone saying hello. Sorry, I skipped it, everybody. There's just too many. So you guys are doing too good. So you installed counters in Mexico.
I did.
Have you
And
had any chance to go shooting? Or you've been too busy working.
no, I mean my whole weekend was shot just running down there doing that, saying hi to my dad and my mom, and then boogieing back here and working on my stuff, and then of course just dealing with work Monday, Tuesday. Now I am hoping to do a little shooting this weekend because I actually have a measure for countertops in Skull Valley, and for those of you that don't know where that's at, it's sort of about 25, 30 miles west of Prescott in Arizona. But I also got drawn for deer there. So
Nice.
I am going to try to hook up my trailer, take the Rhino, and do my measure and stay the night and do some scouting. And I'm actually going to take my gun and go to the spot where I think some of these longer shots are that we were discussing a few weeks ago, where it's kind of a downhill shot, and throw a couple rounds and just see what happens prior to the hunt. So I wasn't planning on hunting with my 308 because it's so heavy, but if I can get up on a position where I can sit and watch, I may just do that with that gun.
Yeah.
I might hike around with a different gun.
Well, make sure if you're doing ballistic software, make sure that you shoot it and then record how accurate the software was. Right. So it's we can get into a deeper conversation later, but it was called truing. It's taking what should happen versus what really happened, and then getting them corrected so that you get a trend after a while, so you know what your gun actually does.
Correct. So, and like I said, what I've been using on that Vortex LRBC, where I've been shooting at Yarnell Hill, it's been great since I got it dialed in. But I'm going to a different spot now. So I'm hoping one of my buddies can come up and kind of spot for me. And I'm just going to pick out a couple rocks, and see how it goes. But I'm excited to see how that's going to pan out this weekend.
That'll be cool. I can't wait to hear about it. And having someone that can spot for you, that's going to be the challenge.
Yeah, that'll be a challenge. But if I can find a rock that if I hit it, it'll totally disappear, then then I know I'm doing all right.
Right. Then you know for sure. Did I talk about holster ops last podcast?
Holster ops?
Yeah.
You talked about a holster that you were starting to like, I believe, from your Africa hunt.
Oh no, I really like that one too. That's no
Okay.
doubt. Black Rhino Concealment, they make some awesome stuff. I really like Black Rhino Concealment guys. They have a pancake style Kydex holster, which is super, super cool. What I was looking for is more of a duty style holster for like, I'm using the Safariland ALS. So it's actually got like the locking mechanism where if you're looking for your stereotypical, Kydex, black ground concealment, it's kind of my place to go for them because I really like those guys. But this one is, like I said, duty. This is called the 7TS. This is the style that's getting issued in the military for the SIG. And the idea is it has a release, it locks in, and until you hit your thumb on it and pull it out, does it come out? So it gives you some retention control. Well, Holster Ops is Safariland's kind of sister website company, whatever, for Safariland gear. And the problem with the 7TS is the front of it is so tall, it just makes it really hard to draw your pistol out of it because it has to come up so high before it can clear. Well, they sell a version that's called a cut down version. They custom cut it down where it doesn't need to be so high and sell it cut down for you. And the price was amazing and everything. So I ordered it and it came in. I'm like, man, that thing is still really tall. And I tried it a couple times. I'm like, oh, this is still way too tall. I looked at the picture and realized they actually sent me a non-cut down version. So I email them. And the first response I got wasn't the greatest. The first response was essentially, well, does it fit your gun? This sir. I was like, no. If it's the gun, but I ordered the cut down version, this isn't the cut down version. And they immediately corrected it. So I can't fault them for that. They came right back to like, we are so sorry. We're getting you another holster out ASAP. Like 2 days later, holster came in the mail. And I said, guys, that's awesome. But what do I do about the old holster? And that's what I think why I talked about giving it away. Yeah, I did bring this up last
time. You did. You did.
All right, now I remember. Sorry, everyone had to listen to that again. So I have the new cut down one. It's awesome. We had somebody went and got it with the code immediately, like within before the first minute was up. They snagged the holster. And I think it already shipped out. We'll have to ask Jackie. She took it with her when she was here last week with a shipping label. So somebody got a cool holster. So thank you, Holster Ops. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but go check them out.
Now, how do you like it to, like, I like the Blackhawk holsters, and I have that for almost all my pistols.
I'm digging this. This is nice. It's a little too tall in the front still, but I really am digging it, especially for how loose the gun is until the very last second does it get tight and lock in. So there's no real drag going in and out. So the second it breaks free, that first quarter of an inch, then the gun's loose. It just comes straight out. I don't know if that makes any sense.
So the actual button is done by the thumb, not like the Blackhawk. You use your shooting trigger finger.
Correct. It's done by the thumb. So you actually get your full firing grip, which normally necessitates your thumb up high anyway.
Right.
When you grab the pistol. So as you grab it and as your thumb's coming down, it releases. It's really fast. It's a really nice system.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And the idea is you can do it with a light too. So this one's without light, but they make one that has room for a pistol light because the mechanism hooks onto the front of your slide. So not the front of the slide, but the front of the ejection port of the slide.
Right.
That's where it actually hooks onto. So where you're using the Serpa, you can't use a Serpa with a pistol light because the mechanism would get in the way of the light. Where this one is no problem. You just get the one meant for the light, and it still locks and secures just the same. So right. I've still been shooting the snot out of this 320, loving it. I finally got used to the flat trigger. I had put the flat trigger in and then went back to the curved trigger because I was actually having a hard time with it. It was actually harder for me to keep it centered. And now I'm just running it. It's awesome. I think I finally got over the bore height issue. I've kind of trained myself to it. So I'm doing, I'd say 50-50, 50% on 50-yard shots in a silhouette, just drawing and shooting, barely even aiming. Just pick it up and just hitting it. And it's crazy how well that thing points for me. So, right.
Anthony had a question about shooting 750 yards with his 223, and at 55 grains is still a good choice. I still shoot 55 grains. I know you say no, but it's
not a good choice. It can do it, but it's not a good choice.
Right, because of the wind and stuff. Now, remember, I bought match grade ammo at I think it was 75 or 77 grains, and it did worse for me than the 55 grains did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. I mean, you can use your finger to get butter to spread on your roll. It's not a good choice. I'd rather use a butter knife, but it'll work. You should be using heavier bullets at 750 yards, especially and beyond. It's just not going to handle the wind as well. It's not going to maintain its velocity as well. Now, you get a light enough bullet fast enough, then you're okay. But the idea of a heavier bullet is even though it starts off slower, it helps maintain its velocity better. So Jeff wants to know, can I do a backflip with the holster? Yes, I could. I could do a backflip with the holster if I could do a backflip.
Yeah, if you could do a backflip. I can't do a backflip.
Actually, I don't know if I can do a backflip. I've never tried.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try now. Maybe when I was younger, but nah.
Yeah, I don't have the guts to try. That's funny.
Not in my wheelhouse right now. I
That's
hurt too.
funny.
I hurt too much from other things. I don't need to break my neck on top of it.
So I'm finally feeling better. One, I appreciate the stuff you guys sent me because my joints, you and Twyla sent me some
Oh,
like fancy joint cream because I've gotten back into rolling around on the mats. So I've gotten back into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And for the first couple of weeks, I my joints were in so much pain. One night I was resting the back of my hands on my countertop of my kitchen and just moaning. I couldn't even hold the weight of my own arms. I kid you not, that's how bad my elbows and shoulders were on fire. Even driving home from the gym has been hard. And now I feel like $1,000,000. So taking a multivitamin, some glucosamine and chondroitin, drinking lots of water, finally getting back in shape and taking care of my joints. It's been amazing. I actually have left the last few sessions on the mat thinking, oh, it's kind of an easy night. So it's fun getting back in shape. And if you guys have been thinking about it, I really encourage it. Get out there.
yeah, I need to. I mean, I like to blame it on time though. I'm too busy. But it's
Replace the phrase "I'm too busy" or "I
yeah,
don't have enough time for that" with "It's not a priority."
exactly.
And it's still okay if you don't do it. There are things that you guys have been waiting on for me to get done, and it's not a priority. I'm sorry. Helping save kids is more of a priority, so that's why I'm doing it. But with working out, I just wasn't working out, and changing that made it a big point to me is it's not a priority. Well, it should be a priority. So I'm gonna do it.
So how did the cream work out for you? Was
Made
like,
me stink like a nursing home.
yeah, but did it work?
Yeah, it did work. The problem though is I would also down it with 800 milligrams of Motrin and a ton of water with the cream. So I don't know which one it was. But yeah, your wife's hippie cream worked on my joints.
That's hilarious. I'll tell her.
That's funny. So
That'll
I
make her
really
happy.
appreciate it. Thank you. Alonzo asked, question on mounting optics. What are the downsides of not lapping the rings to the scope? I'm glad you asked that, Alonzo. I saw a lot of comments about that on Facebook and just on blogs and online lately. The past week or two, people have gone crazy about lapping the rings. This is going to be a very Kleckner answer. I've never once lapped any rings on any rifle I've ever owned. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't help. I'm just trying to be honest with you. I've never done it. Never professionally have I had any rifle I've set up for people, or any professional sniper, anyone I've ever worked around, have they ever done it. I think if you buy quality enough rings and a quality scope and quality everything else, you don't need it. But my honesty means just because I'm not doing it doesn't mean it's not necessary or that it doesn't help. It might help. I just have never done it. And I know that people that can shoot way better than me swear by it. So maybe we should believe them. But I'm not going to recommend it because I haven't done it and seen a need to. Because I'm buying, rings that are at cheapest $150 for a set of rings that are expensive because of how true they are. I don't know, man. Have you ever lapped rings, Jason?
No, I've never even heard of it until you just said it.
So lapping rings. Well, so what's funny about it is to me it seems like a perceived benefit. So what people will do is they'll mount the rings on a base without a scope in it, and they'll take a device, the diameter of a scope, and it's like essentially it can be like a stone, or it can just be a rod which you put lapping compound on it, which is like pumice cream.
Yeah, like a polishing compound or something.
Yeah, and they'll put it in this device, and they'll turn and slide that rod or that lapping shape in and out, back and forth for a while, and polish the inside of the rings so that they're perfectly trued and like lined up to each other after they've been mounted on the scope. It's called lapping rings, and tons of people do it. I'm amazed at how often people talk about lapping rings, or, oh, you got to lap ring. Matter of fact, some of my videos on YouTube that have, I don't know, 2 million views on how to mount a scope. You'll get 19 comments of, this is awesome, thanks for making it so simple, so cool, thank you, thank you. And you'll get one comment, oh, fail, didn't lap the rings. Okay, I failed. Maybe I did fail. I just have never done it. I've just never seen a need to do it. I don't even I don't even assume that what you're doing is that precise. Like, who's to say that as you're lapping that by hand that you're not actually making a track or a path to the scope that's off center now, and the scope is going to be out of windage one direction or the other, or that you're not putting too much pressure on the left as you go forward and on the right as you go back, and you're actually now making a curved raceway, even though you think you're being super straight. I just, I don't know. I assume the machines that make these rings, the higher end rings where they're trying to get them trued, are going to be better than you doing it by hand, but I'm just guessing.
I would assume, at least in my mind, when you are tightening down a scope, given the thickness of the metal and what it's made out of, it's going to flex and conform its shape a little bit anyway.
Yeah, and so that's what the people are saying is they don't want it to do that. But then I guess that invites the next question, which is, who cares if it does?
Yeah, but that would be
is there an accuracy issue if the scope is bent? Like, that's a serious question. What if I curved a scope? What if I torqued the body of a scope to its limit? You know, I can't imagine really a scope flexing that much, but let's say it flexes a little bit. Let's say I flex it. Does that matter?
No.
Maybe. Maybe not.
No, I mean, we've talked about this. You could take a gun that constantly shoots left, and as long as you know it shoots left, it's, you know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it might distort the image. I don't know. I just don't understand.
Here's where I'm at with that. If you're going to get that crazy over scope rings, then you better be able to tighten both sides at the exact same time.
Yeah. Or you better be able to, like, shoot a half-minute group every single time.
Right.
Not just your best group for the day. You just... The problem is there's so much. I need to make and sell sniper fairy dust or sniper voodoo. Okay. I'm going to get like talcum powder and put it in a little bottle and call it sniper voodoo dust. That's what I'm going to call it. And you can buy it from me and you can open it up and you can pinch some and you can sprinkle some over your rifle and it'll make it more accurate.
There you go.
Because I think a lot of the stuff that guys do is ritualistic when it comes to accuracy. And I can't really fault it because, yeah, the guys that do this bench press shooting that shoot just these amazing groups, they'll do stuff like this. And it must work. It must do something for them. I just think that maybe by the dollars and calories you're spending to eke out that last level performance, you have way bigger things to focus on first. I mean, it's like getting an old Toyota Corolla. I don't know if they made it back in the 80s. Let's say an 80s Toyota Corolla and deciding you're going to get titanium lug nuts to make it go faster. Okay. Probably will make it go faster. But maybe you could spend a lot of time and money on souping up other parts of the car first.
Right.
Rather than getting titanium lug nuts. So I don't know, guys. I really hesitate. I gave you the answer I gave you and said it was a collector answer for a reason. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I never have. I've never needed to. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, and I'm with you on this because, for instance, when I have to rebuild a intensifier on the water jet, right? There's parts that they recommend that we can lap, and they're flat on the stone. You know, they're the internal parts for the high pressure, water that's coming through it. Yep. And I have yet to been able to hand lap one that's as good as one that I get that's been machined. And it's to a point where we don't even do it. I just buy one that's machined and put it in there.
Well, and now are your scope rings going to rust if they're steel?
Because they're not coated anymore?
Yeah, or what about the coating on your scope? Someone brought that up too. That's another question. How true is your scope? I mean, the scope bodies are extruded aluminum. Extrusions are some of the least precise things you can do in machining. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? An extrusion is probably about the same as a broach cut. It's kind of a rough way to do things. I would imagine the scope is less straight than what you're lapping. So if anything, maybe you should be using the scope to lap it. You should be putting polishing compound on the scope and doing that.
There you go. You need to make a scope lathe that won't hurt the scope that you can mount it in. And spin it.
And you can turn down the sections where the rings go.
That's right.
All right, Jason, I'm going to one-up you, and here's what I don't understand, why manufacturers don't do this. Why don't they make scopes with rings on them?
Yeah, no kidding. That'd be so simple to install, wouldn't it? Already trued, already everything.
Well, when you look at a ring fit guide for scopes or stuff like that, it's almost always by scope or objective size for a rifle. So I don't even care if you bolted them on. So if a manufacturer wants to extrude the scope body and then they want to bolt on the rings. That's fine. But the bottom of the rings, where they're cut for the Picatinny rail,
Uh-huh.
mount it, put it all together, and then cut the Picatinny rail cuts at the bottom when it's all together. They'd be perfectly in line that way.
Right.
I don't know. I don't get it.
That's genius. Now, the trick's going to be how do you adjust it forward and backwards for your eye relief?
Well, true, except I've never had a scope that I didn't have slammed as far forward as you could possibly get it. Right? I mean, it's just
Right.
it's my big head, but I can never get scopes far enough forward. So I put them as far forward as they can get and deal with the fact that it's not as much as I'd like.
True. Well, and then like we talked about several podcasts ago, I had all my scopes set up, and now that I've been shooting more through you and the podcast, I want to move them. They're not where I now want them to be.
Your scopes?
Yeah,
Do you want to move them further forward?
I do.
Oh, see, so everyone would be happy if you just threw the scopes forward and
I
then
do, 'cause-
adjust. I think the scope should be consistent. By the way, no one complains about the bolt handle versus the trigger, right? The bolt handle should be further forward than the trigger or further back. No, they just accept that they're located where they're located. I think we should just put the scope in one spot and adjust the buttstock.
Yeah, to where you're back forward from it. Right.
Put the scope as far forward as you can get on what we would consider, and then adjust your buttstock longer or shorter. Be much easier for me. Anyway, whatever. Someone asked, Deshido asked, what are my thoughts on the LaRue OBR, Predator, Predatober? They have those two. Any hands-on experience? Yes, tons. I've shot lots and lots of LaRues. My thoughts on them. I think they're great, except for the fact that they aren't that reliable. The triggers are really wonky, and they're hard to operate. So besides that, they're accurate and they're cool having AR-10s, but I've never seen a more finicky set of rifles. Now, Mark LaRue's a good dude, makes good products. I think it's really neat. I just think that some guns, when you go to a certain level, start to get finicky. They start to turn into race cars a little bit. You start getting a Salient Arms Glock package. It's so upgraded that it starts getting finicky. I think the LaRue's can be that way a little bit. I'm just not a fan of the super crisp, short travel single stage triggers that he puts in there. I think if he changed the trigger to a trigger I liked, it would be better. So that's complete personal preference. And the reason I don't like operating them is because they're just like any other AR-10. So not any worse for them as anyone else. It's hard to lock the bolt all the way to the rear. It's very common on like one of those LaRue's, especially the bolt catches the front of the bolt carrier instead of the actual front of the bolt, because that last little half inch is really hard to get to. There's not a forward assist, so sometimes it can be hard dealing with the bolt there. I see a lot of new shooters especially just struggle with them. I've seen every time I teach out at Texas Triggers, they have them out there, but they're accurate and they run okay. I just think that for the money that Rec 10 is, matter of fact, when I say the Rec 10 is the best AR-10 I've ever shot, I'm mostly comparing it to the LaRue's. Maybe the Knight's Armament, which I have no idea how many thousands of rounds of experience through.
Yeah, but you can't buy a Rec 10. They're not even released yet.
It's a unicorn. It's a unicorn. I hope they get it all figured out. The version I had was perfect. They changed a couple things and now they're getting that fixed, and hopefully it'll come out soon. You guys have seen the video. You saw the canting video I did with the rifles?
Yep.
Dude, I don't know. Just look at how the rifle performs. It even looks awesome. It just shoots, and it's like, oh, they put a nice safety and a nice trigger, and it's easy to lock the bolt to the rear, and it's accurate and reliable. What more do you want?
Now, when was SHOT Show last time?
SHOT Show was the end of January, beginning of February.
Okay, so it has been 9 months since the release of the Rec 10, and it's still not available.
Let's not get mad at people for coming out with products later than they said they would. Yes, I don't know how you pronounce the name. DJ Ishido? Yeah, the Rec 10 is amazing. Well, the one I shot, I trust Barrett's going to not put out something till it's right. Matter of fact, I would say that's why it's probably not out yet, is I think they made a few changes here and there and then weren't happy with them, so they're getting it figured out. It was amazing to me to take an AR-10 out, just pull the charging handle back and lock the bolt to the rear. I started laughing, and Colby Donaldson was like, what's the big deal? I said, you have no idea how easy that was. That was just like an AR-15. Go try that on any other AR-10 you've seen. Or just the functioning of it, or the accuracy of it, or the trigger, just everything about it. That Rec 10 Barrett is the biggest flip I've ever done. I went from leaving the military thinking Barrett was dumpster of angle um, to they're making a huge run in the precision rifle world. I'm now a huge fan of wow, I can't even think of the name of the rifle. What is their bolt gun called?
The 50? Is that
The
what you're talking
MRAD.
about?
MRAD.
MRAD.
The MRAD is amazing. The Rec 10 is amazing. They're the way to go. Hurricane says still waiting for Texas Triggers to update their site. Yeah, he doesn't do the courses very often. It's he's so busy with life like the rest of us are. He only does them every once in a while. So pay attention when he gets out there. Yeah, Anthony mentioned the Fieldcraft. Fieldcraft's good too. Lightweight rifle. So they're really coming out with some amazing stuff. And I think their hardest challenge might be for marketing is letting people know, hey, we're not just the 50 cal. We have all this other stuff too. So yeah, their Rec 10's amazing. So
Now,
Seabass wants the fairy dust. So maybe I need to do that. I need to put the fairy dust together.
I was gonna say, have you noticed at all that? Let's just go back a year ago,
Okay.
where long range shooting was kind of a craze, and now it's starting to dwindle down a little bit. Or do you see that?
Is it dwindling down?
Well, I shouldn't say it's dwindling down. It's not as I don't see it as much on news and my phone. I used to get all kinds of stuff that would pop up. Long range this guy did this guy shot this far,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I'm just not seeing it as much.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I think maybe just there's been so many other things in the news, politics and stuff like that. I don't know. That's a good point. Someone asked me if I have any thoughts on the LWRC AR-10s. Yes, I have a bunch of experience with LWRC stuff too. And every single rifle that I've ever had experience with LWRC was junk. It flat out would not function, would not shoot. Yeah, I'm sure they're great guns. I think they might be good people. I think I might just have the worst experience ever with them. But every time I've ever been around an LWRC, whether it's been a student or mine, they've been fundamentally unable to perform as a firearm. I mean, bad. But then again, I've seen videos of people shooting them great. So please don't just go by my limited experience with them. But yeah, I've seen enough that that's one of the few brands that I will never own personally. They just don't work.
So we're still waiting on Rec 10s is where you're at.
True, but I would recommend any Air 10 before I'd say get an LWRC. It's not just the fact that they're overpriced; it's just they just don't work. I mean, I don't understand it. People are like, "Oh, but it's cool." It's like, okay, what if it was free? Because they are about double the cost I think they should be. Like, okay, cool gun. You can't get the ones I've seen can't even cycle from one round to the next. They have too many problems. I just don't get it. And the students that have come through the course, they have them. They'll get them to kind of work, but I don't even think I've seen one make it through a magazine without not functioning somehow. And they have used to have a gas block regulator where you could turn the gas block and adjust the gas. And they'd have a setting that turned it off completely. I guess if you wanted to shoot like suppressed and not have the gun cycle at all. But one of the students' guns kept getting flipped to turn off mode, like accidentally when he was carrying it. And so I just kept laughing, like, who would put a doesn't work anymore switch on a gun? But they did. So anyway, I think that's the most negative I've been of any gun. I already feel guilty talking so negative about a gun.
I was going to tell you too when I went shooting out and we had our little review of the Magtek Ammo. I actually had my Geisley trigger on my AR for the first time slip off 3 or 4 rounds like an auto.
Which gun was this, or which trigger?
It's that Geisley SSAE trigger I put in my very first build, my SPR.
No way.
Yep, I had my buddy spotting for me, and I let off a round, and it sent off 3 or 4 of them, and he's like, "Did you do that?" I said, "No, I did not do that." I didn't do it again, but it was interesting.
Well, I wonder, is there any chance it could have been your trigger finger follow through, like bump firing it? Like slightly as the gun recoiled, your finger came off the trigger enough that it reset and then refired a couple times? Or you think it was the trigger?
Oh, no, it was fast. I mean, it literally spit out 3 like it was an auto. So I mean, yeah, it could have been. I have no idea what caused it. I've never had it happen before, and
Well, you need to spend some time with that function check. I mean, really take your time with it and make sure you have enough engagement. Take it to a gunsmith if you need to, because that's scary.
yeah,
That means it could fire. Sometimes you don't want it to. It could be a machine gun. Which, by the way, if I'm not too tired from this and I do a Trigger Words podcast tonight, I'm going to do how to own a machine gun. So we can talk about that. Uh, Todd asked, might have talked about this before. The ads for urban carry holsters are everywhere right now. What are my thoughts on those? I haven't seen the ads, but lately. I've seen the ads before, but not lately. Jason, have you seen the urban carry holsters?
I have not.
This is going to be like the title of this podcast is going to be Ryan Goes Negative.
uh,
They, I'm hesitating.
well, before you get too negative about it, I was going to answer Anthony's question. Yes, I was shooting suppressed when it did that.
So I'm going to answer another one. Bobby asked, "What are my thoughts on 6.5 Creedmoor as a real-world combat rifle?" Dude, Bobby, I'm sold on the 6.5 Creedmoor for everything. I'm hook, line, and sinker on that thing. I think the military should switch to it. I think it's a great blend between not quite as heavy and not as much recoil as the 308. So you have still some of the lightweightness that the 5.56 gives you, but you have it's just amazing terminal performance, amazing ballistics, lighter recoiling the 5.56. I think it's the one do all round. I would actually love it if the military went to one cartridge like the 6.5 Creedmoor instead of having two cartridges like the 5.56 NATO and the 7.62. You could just have one for your machine guns and for your heavy guns, and one for the light guns, and it'd be completely everything. So the urban carry holsters. First off, the commercial I saw was probably a year, 2 years old, and the commercial started with like the quiet footsteps of a Navy SEAL. The urban carry holsters are the ultimate in stealth, like something like that, while showing a guy standing there, like with the camera zoomed into his crotch for a holster. Like, okay, you lost me when you started with this, like the quiet footsteps of a Navy SEAL. First off, aren't SEALs supposed to be in the water? You don't hear footsteps in the water. I'm just kidding. Um, uh, I've never tried one. So there's Hurricane says tell it like it is. I will tell it like it is. I've never tried one. What I've seen is why I've never tried one. It does not look like a functional, suitable idea for carrying a concealed firearm. And then I've had people that I trust tell me their experience with it. And two people that I trust said it does exactly what I think it would do, which is it throws the gun about 10 feet away from you. So, Jason, it's one of these holsters that it clips onto your belt and it looks like a small, like little cell phone case. But what it actually does is make a pocket with fabric that makes the entire gun be below your belt line. So it's attached to your belt, and then it goes down into your pants completely like a sling saddle pouch that goes way down low where the gun sticks in, and then it comes back up again to a part that you grab. And so what you do is you grab the backside of the sling or the essentially a little bit of a hammock, and you yank up on it, and it holds
Oh,
the
yes,
gun
I've seen those.
past your belt to where then you can get it out. And
Yes.
both people that I trust have said it. They go, "Yeah, I got one." I was like, "What did you? Why would you buy that? That is the most." Yeah, the commercial says it all. It just to me that is not suitable for real use. And both of them said, "Yeah, it didn't work at all." And I said, "Let me guess." I threw the gun, and they went, "Yes!" It threw the gun like 10 feet away from me. They grab it, yank it up, and it would like fling the gun up so hard it would have the gun go flying out because it's not a real way to protect the gun or to carry or. Yeah, that's as bad as like the Spec Ops sunglasses commercials you see, in my opinion. It's a little silly. That's me.
That's funny.
What do you think
No,
about it? You've seen the commercials for it.
yes. Now that I know what you're talking about, and that that was the first thing me and some buddies talked about was Wouldn't it just throw it? Now that I know what you're talking about, and it's funny to hear that you've had people that actually said it would throw it
Yeah, they're like, yeah,
because
I got one to try it, and it threw the gun 10 feet. And they're like, well, that's stupid.
yeah, I mean, it almost looks like you would do that. I mean, they rip on that thing so hard unless it's
Yeah.
somehow velcroed to it. I
That's the
just
equivalent of like the really cheapo nylon, like generic nylon, Walmart holster. If that's what you can afford and that's what you need to keep, put your gun in so when you let go it doesn't fall to the ground, great, do it. I'm not going to pick on you for having that. I'm going to pick on you for having that if you can afford something better and you think that that is like a suitable way to carry concealed or for actual professional use. But if something simple or basic is what you got and it works for you, good for you. I'm not going to crap on you for that. But to take something like that, which belongs on a as seen on TV commercial, and call it a professional tool, that's bordering on not safe.
now see, I actually have been tasked with the challenge of looking for something for Twyla. So she likes, to go on walks in the morning and stuff, and she would like to carry her little LCP with her. But
Okay.
so she's wearing, exercise clothes, and there's really no place to put one. So she
Yep.
asked me the other day, she's like, "Is there like something I can strap to my arm?" Or I said,
She needs to
"I
get a
have
safe
no idea.
packer. Do you know what a safe packer is?
I do not.
The
This is something."
Wilderness Safe Packer. So that is so cool. I'll get one for every different size handgun I get. They belong in my safe. So you guys need to go check out thewilderness.com. And the thing at Safe Packer is it's a rectangle that it's nylon and it has a buckle. And as you unclip the buckle, it opens up and there's a little pouch for the handgun and an extra magazine inside. And that is just one of those things that when I get a gun, I mean it. I have one that I carry a Glock 19 or the CCP 10 in all the time. You just grab the whole pouch and you go into the truck. You just toss it in the truck. You throw it in the glove box. You can bring it with you. Your seatbelt can go through the back of it so it can stay with you, your seatbelt. The top can flip open and it can go between the mattress on the bed when you're like at a hotel. Or you can just grab it and carry it in your hand. You can draw from it from the case while the case is still in your hand. And no one's the wiser. So it's like a gun case that's kind of a holster. It's just an awesome setup. And when you get one of those, they make little tiny ones for the LCP. They make a runner's pack, and it's a waist belt that can hold water bottles if you want, or a cell phone pouch. And just like that safe packer can go around your seatbelt or all sorts of other stuff, it just goes around that runner's pack, and you don't ever have to worry about it. So she takes it off and just keeps it always in the safe packer. She never has to check if the gun's loaded or handle the gun or anything. It just stays in the safe packer until it's needed. So it comes home, she sits on top of the fridge or wherever she puts her gun when she gets home, because I know you guys don't have small children around.
Right.
Or she takes it in the car or puts it wherever. It could just stay in the safe packer at all times. And at the small of your back, even when you're jogging, especially the LCP, won't even move. It won't even wiggle. It'll be awesome. Chris said to help people gear chest rigs. Yeah, those work good too if you're out like out hunting and hiking, but especially girls for on their chest. And if you're running or trying to move around, it's going to shake too much in my experience. But the small of your back is really nice, and you can seriously reach back and draw easily from it. Undo the one buckle, and you can draw a gun and have a backup magazine.
Okay.
So that is, and they're there in Phoenix.
Perfect.
So thewilderness.com. Go check out the safe packer. And I kid you not, I have one for every size gun I have because they're just way too handy. There's even been times where I'm just on a trip somewhere, especially on road trips. I'll throw it over my hand. They have a strap there, so it kind of goes under your support hand, and you carry it. It looks like a day planner. It doesn't draw really anyone's attention. It's just there for you, and you can draw from it if you want without having to wear the holster or when you walk in to get gas or stuff like that. Their things are really freaking cool. I love them. So go check out the safe packers. I think it might be the right for her.
No, I will, because I need to get something for her. She was kind of on me this last week about it.
Well, just get her one anyway because it's a good accessory to have for the gun when you even throw it in the safe. It's not just sitting there loose. It literally becomes the case for the gun. So it just stays in there all the time.
Nice.
Yep. So there you go, dude. And then let me know what you think about it.
Okay, I will.
And if you don't like it, I'll take it. It's probably the same size for the 365. I haven't gotten one for that yet. So if she's not happy with it, I'll buy it off. Yes, there's no risk purchase for you.
Look at that. It's a win-win. I like it.
Yeah. They're actually the folks that make the my sling, my Kleckner cuff sling.
Nice.
Yeah, they're the ones that make it out of there in Phoenix. So good folks. Matter of fact, Ralph Holzhaus, the owner of the company, is one of the guys that's responsible for getting the CCW permit in Arizona. He was actually lobbying for and fought for that.
Now, do they have a store here in Phoenix, or is it all internet sales?
No, they have a store there in Phoenix. Matter of fact, the safe packer he invented because it was before Arizona had a CCW and you had to open carry. And the rules in Arizona at the time were as long as any part of the holster was visible. So he made that so it counted as the holster, so you could carry it kind of concealed without being concealed.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's where the safe packer started. And then now just everyone that loves for climbing harnesses, like the rescue guys, all use safe packers because it goes right on the climbing harness and it's padded and it protects the gun from everything. When I go backpacking or hunting at all, if you ever see pictures of me backpacking, my waist belt always has a safe packer on it because it keeps it out of the way and you cannot hurt the gun. I mean, it's so padded and so dense, it keeps the gun clean and safe. It becomes one of those things that you will wonder how you lived without it. I kid you not.
Awesome, man. I'm excited to go check it out.
I draw from mine just to keep it right on my hip, and that's like my holster to draw from if I needed to at hunting or stuff like that. So check it out. I'll put a link in the show notes for everybody. I moved the websites, by the way, so you can still go to goingballisticpodcast.com. It'll just forward you to the podcast page on ryancollector.com. So I'll put there in the show notes. I'll put a link to the wilderness so you guys can check it out and go see the safe packer. And if you buy one, put in the comments that you heard it from me just because I consider them friends. They're good people. I don't get anything for it, but knowing that you guys are supporting a good made in America company, I appreciate it.
Hey, I did have another question for you.
Yeah.
A while back ago, you had a very cool thing that you could hook your phone to your rifle scope with.
I know. I was thinking about that recently.
Did you use it?
No, I haven't used it yet. I feel horrible because that company was so awesome. They just sent me one. They're like, heck yeah, here you go, man. We'd love you to try it out. Dude, I don't get to the range very often, except I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to ruin the surprise. This goes in the It's Good to Be Ryan column. A long-range Uber Magnum rifle with ammo and scope and everything showed up in the mail for me today because I have an FFL, so guns can just show up to my doorstep. From Recoil Magazine for review. So they're like, here you go, brother. Go get some photos and get this thing out to the range and get us some stats. I'm going to write an article reviewing it. So that might be a good one to put it on.
And do you get to keep it?
No. I don't know. I didn't ask. I didn't ask. My first impressions are I don't want it. Which is a shame. I hope it surprises me, which is why I won't tell you what it is. But I looked at it like, this is not my thing. No, thank you. But I want to give it a fair shake. And maybe it'll be awesome. And you guys will find out in the article. So we'll see.
Awesome. I'm excited to see what it is.
We gabbed enough tonight, I think. I really appreciate you coming on even though you've been so busy.
Oh, dude. I live for it. This is my favorite part of the week.
Go shoot something.
I'm going to this weekend, man. I'm going to shoot something, whether it be a rock, rabbit, I don't know yet.
All right. Everyone go into the contest. It's every week the contest has been picking up more and more, which is really cool. I kid you not, Jason. I think we had 650 entries in last week's contest.
Woo!
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's awesome.
A box of ammo. Yeah, so go to ryancollector.com/contest. Enter that. We're giving away some ammo. And again, I'll change it up to different prices as I get there. I almost put the holster on there as a prize, but I decided not to because who needs a holster for a 320? That's the only reason. If it was a gift certificate or a holster, I would have done it, but I wanted to make sure it was applied to everyone. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for commenting. Sorry I couldn't get to everyone's questions. Slate, I see your question about reloading. We just don't have time to get into it, brother. I'm sorry, man. So thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Thank you, Jason, and keep telling people about the podcast. We appreciate it. I'll see you next week.
See you, everybody. Have a good night.